bring on up to the stage our first keynoter, Shireen Aubert, Senior VP, Ilia Beauty. You always bring the house down, wreck the house, burn the house down. Your hair game, I think I'm the only person that even comes close, and even that is a sad, sad second to it. Can the people hear you, Shireen?
Can they? Oh my gosh, can you guys hear me?
All right. Now, I believe you even brought with us, let's see it. We got a slide deck because that's what the people screamed for last time. Beautiful. All right, Shireen, without any further ado, I am out. You are on. Take it away.
Oh, thank you so much, Erin, for having me, and thank you, operators. And I'm just gonna give you a disclaimer. I'm a little sick today, but I do it for the love of the game. I'm here for you. And if you didn't know, you can only get sick before October 1st or after December 15th. So get those sicknesses in or wait until later because we're about to lock in. Can I get a lock in the chat? Can I get an I'm locked in? I can't hear you. Don't you hate when, presenters do that and they say, "I can't hear you," but I really can't hear you, so drop a lock in the chat. I'm gonna take you beyond Black Friday. We're going from September to January, and I'm gonna walk you through real tactics that I run in my playbook specific to offers, and driving success during, the holiday season, but first, the first thing that you need before you get started, before you get into driving insane amounts of revenue and spending egregious amounts of money is you need a lock-in starter pack. So this is my Q4 lock-in starter pack. I'm gonna be so locked and loaded, and are you guys with me? Get locked in. I'm gonna try to say lock in 800 times during this presentation, so get used to it. And here's why you should listen to me. I've had about 15 years in e-com, overseeing the growth of 100 plus brands from bootstrap to Series A through C to post acquisition, from 0 to 9 figures. I'm funny. I have amazing hair. The people love me. You can find me on Twitter or LinkedIn. And I like to give this disclaimer that this is based on my experience and learnings and the business that I'm in and the businesses that I've seen. And you may disagree with me, and I don't want to hear it. So send your complaints to Aaron Orndorff. He will gladly accept them. But let's start with philosophy because I think it's as you listen to everyone throughout the day, it's important for us to set like a foundation. And this is my philosophy, and this is what I've seen. The majority of BFCM volume comes from your existing customers, existing revenue volume, and the top BFCM repeat order cohorts from your previously acquired customer cohorts were probably acquired during past sale moments. So there are this like sale audience that will reconvert during BFCM. And it's one of the best moments of the year to acquire new customers as well. So not only are you getting a massive amount of volume from your existing customers, but you're opening the floodgates of new customers to your brand. And those new customers will be your baseline for future repurchases for launches and sales. So my philosophy is always optimized for new customers. Yes, there are so many tactics to drive repurchase and those will be, a given. But to have the new customer mindset in everything you do during this season is going to be incredibly important for your future growth. And again, before we get into any tactics, because you're going to be hearing a lot of them, these are my four Q4 traps that kill growth. And this is coming from the perspective of a 9 figure business that's in it for the long haul, that's profitable and growing, that's omni channel, and that wants to preserve a brand and it has a brand that people love. So these are the four things that I pay attention to. Number one, the new accounts reached crisis. If you've ever looked at your rolling reach report in Meta or any other ad platform, you'll see, and even just looking in the ad platforms, CPMs get insanely expensive during the holiday season, meaning that it's harder and more expensive to reach new accounts during that period of time. So, and most brands wait until November when it's most expensive to get in front of new people. So, from now until then, think about reaching new people. Second is the long sale trap. It is probably gonna be the craziest Black Friday ever, and I think the warning I'll give is that, like, month-long site-wide promotions really dilute your brand, and they're very hard to comp year over year. So while I think it's easy to say, "Oh my gosh, we're desperate for growth, let's do an incredibly long sale," just think about the long-term impact of that and how you're gonna comp it year over year. You put yourself in a really tough position, and if you're an omni-channel business, your retail partners suffer because you start trading sales when you're running extended sales on D2C, and then you have an issue in January where you've pulled forward so much demand by having an extended sale that you're not setting yourself up in 2026 for a sustainable growth. The third point is that there's a creative fatigue cliff, and that creatives that you're running all Q4, even your evergreen content, that's, if you're running it during BFCM, it's been performing for a couple of months. You will burn that creative out so fast because of the insane amounts of money that you're spending. So don't wait until January and don't come into January with fatigued ads. Build your ad creative pipeline for January in Q4 so that you can come into the new year with a steady stream of net new content. And then finally, offer innovation stagnation. What this means is, it's so easy to just run a site wide sale and expect better results as the holiday season progresses. But that is pretty expected, and I haven't seen meaningfully lift in sales by going from, like, a 20% to a 25% or 25% to 30%. You're really just giving up points of margin, and so when it comes to running longer offers, it's important to be creative with your offer formats and come up with new formats, if you wanna drive, more sustainable growth and more growth peaks during the BFCM season. Okay. So these are the stages of holiday growth. I think September, October, and January, there's a lot of variability in businesses based on the size and what their launches are. But really, this year, BFCM sits between the end of November and the beginning of December. So your November, as it relates to sales, will look bigger than your December. Your December will probably look bigger than it did, a couple of years ago. And this is kind of how I like to think of that timeline. September and into October is your last best acquisition and awareness window. Um, October is when retail and prime are pulling forward demand. So I think you can think of it in like there's a window in September and October where you're still getting new customers, you're still building that customer base. And then there's a period in October and November where you're starting to pull forward demand and retailers are doing that. And then in November it's uh starts to get crazy and noise just exponentially increases and it becomes the BFCM Wild West. And it again, like I believe this BFCM will probably be crazier than any of them. I will probably see brands going at the beginning of November. And so being prepared for that and not giving into the temptation of launching your site wide sale in the beginning of November and having a plan for what you're going to do is going to be really important. Then you get into BFCM, this is the demand peak. And in December is what you can think about the shipping cutoff cliff. And if you're running international in Canada, UK, Australia, and other countries, there's an opportunity for a Boxing Day sale after Christmas. And then January is what I like to call the great creative reset. Do you guys remember the great reset? Or remember when everyone's like, oh no, the great reset? It's coming. It's in January and it's the great creative reset. And you need to have creative for January. And it's a really good opportunity to launch new products and get ready for the year. So, another way to look at it is November is when luxury CPMs kick in and there's a temptation to start early and you have to get creative with your offer strategy. December is also when Amazon peaks for a lot of business as you get those last minute end of year shoppers. And then January is an opportunity to either slump or pump based on what you've done the rest of the quarter and what you have planned. So let's get into September. This is where I like to focus on reaching and acquiring new customers and a groundswell of acquisition and loyalty building. And this is an actual tactic that we're running right now. If you go to the iliabeauty.com website, we're running our VIP sale. It's only for loyalty program members, and loyalty is incredibly important for beauty brands and omni-channel brands to maintain loyalty to the D2C sales channel. So, an example tactic that I would give you is like a VIP or SMS exclusive sale in the near term to enroll people into those programs. And we know that those program members drive a higher overall LTV for our business. They purchase more, they're more engaged with the brand. Um, For CPG brands, another tactic that I love to run is sampling campaigns to seed trial. And you have to think about what that means for your business, but getting people in, getting them acquired on your best acquisition product now, uh, priming them for repurchase in BFCM. So we like to do sampling because we have a predictability on people who try our samples. They will come by back. We know the rate at which they'll come back and repurchase. And then evergreen content creation for November use. We are filling our content pipeline right now. Our creative team already has content for BFCM ready. What are you doing? If you don't have it, you need it because you want to be ready to go if you need to. And then new account reach initiatives. We've done just launched and ran an incrementality test to understand the impact of running top of funnel campaign objectives in Meta and what that does to drive incremental sales lift. We don't have the results yet, but we've always had a hypothesis that running upper funnel campaign types helps us drive new accounts reached, and new accounts reached helps us drive make our conversion campaigns more efficient. So now let's get into October. October is what I like to call the holiday soft launch. This is when you can really start talking about holiday and seasonal positioning and merchandise your site seasonally without diluting demand and without working to pull forward sales. And these are example tactics that I run and that are pretty common in beauty, and you'd have to think about it for your industry. But we have limited edition bundles that launch from like the end of September, early October until the end of the year. And they serve two purposes. We have low AOV bundles for customer acquisition and high AOV limited exclusive bundles for existing customers to drive delight and loyalty and repurchase. And this is very like the customer thinks about this differently than they think about BFCM shopping, and that's why we love to do it in October. Um, Obviously, Amazon Prime Day is gonna be a massive sale moment, for brands. We, as a brand that doesn't discount often, we use it for both scale and clearing out inventory that isn't moving, so we won't discount our core and hero collections, we'll discount the products that need to be moved. And then, gifts with purchase is something that we commonly do with holiday positioning. So now getting into November, this is where we get into the wild, wild west. And this is all about cutting through the noise and strategic promotion, timing, and creative iteration. So on the right, I'm showing you a real example of a sale creative that we ran. And this is a very brand forward piece of creative that you would probably not think converts that well. But this is just to show you that like creative diversity is so important during November and during sale moments. This is something that our creative team shot. It's awesome. It performed incredibly well in addition to a lot of other content that we were running, and customers were engaging with it, they loved it, they were commenting about how much they loved the content, and so you don't have to go and rent, a vintage Porsche, but, like, it's all about creating content that people love because no one loves ads. No one wants to see ads. So think about the content you're creating. And if you are going to run month long offers, I encourage you not to run site wide sales all month long. But there are other examples of things you can do in November, like gifts with purchase or deeper discounts on your bundles. Um, Being ready to start early is important too, although I'm not encouraging running all month long. Having everything ready to go, if you see all of your competitors and your whole industry launching, you don't wanna be the only one that's not, because at that point, you're missing out on the demand, so being ready to start if you need to. And another tactic that I strongly believe in, and I'll talk more about it, during BFCM too, is influencer content that drives awareness, inspiration, and desire ahead of the sale. So, not just influencer content that's promoting a discount, but influencer content that's really selling the product benefits and bringing new audiences into the brand. We also do high intent lead gen to get people in ahead of the sale, get people in to our lists. And again, it has to be high intent, and that looks different for every brand. All right, now we're getting into BFCM. This is what you look like during BFCM. This is the peak of demand. This is creative and offer warfare. So the thing that's true that I've seen is that there is pent-up demand for during Black Friday and Cyber Monday, meaning consumers will wait during they will wait to purchase on Black Friday and Cyber Monday. There are people that will purchase before Black Friday if you start your sale early, and you are able to reconvert people. But the majority of people will wait because they have been trained by brands that brands will launch their best offer. I strongly discourage launching a deeper discount during Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend. There's nothing more infuriating to your customers to purchase and then see that you went deeper, like you have a deeper discount. I don't actually think it drives that much more lift either. But I think having a differentiated offer during Black Friday, Cyber Monday weekend is important. What we do is we'll introduce a newer, different, or better gift with purchase. And we've seen that we're able to reconvert a higher volume of people in November who've already purchased. So those people that purchased in November will come back and purchase again because we changed our offer during BFCM, but we're not doing a deeper discount. Um, we will also during Black Friday, Cyber Monday launch with like a macro or mid-tier influencer that is not talking about the sale. I talked about this a little bit, but this is a core part of our strategy because of all the noise. There are people that are just on social media looking at content and don't want to see like 50 static ads that say, 30% off. So how are you getting those people and how are you getting in front of those people and engaging them? And that's incredibly important to us. And then I'm pretty militant. We do daily stand-ups, even if they're like 15 to 30 minutes between our growth, creative, e-com, whoever's working on creative and the site and in the ad accounts, even on Thanksgiving and weekends. I know it seems extreme, but I think it's super necessary for those people to work together and do daily iterations and work on native formats or try different things. Of course, you can cancel the stand-up if there's nothing to talk about or, manage it async. Okay, now we're getting into December. This is the shipping cliff. This is Boxing Day. This is urgency and inventory liquidation. I think this is a really great opportunity before the holiday shipping cutoff to use um, excess inventory, to move through inventory before the year ends, to include it in gift with purchase, to create low threshold incentives to just drive volume and urgency. Um, and then even, there's a shipping cutoff and then there's an expedited shipping cutoff. So we run offers during both periods. And then there's the post shipping cutoff, which is where you can, focus on digital products or sometimes even pushing to Amazon or retail if items are sold out, out of stock, for example, like we'll have limited edition bundles on our D2C. If they sell out D2C, we will shamelessly redirect people to retailers because we want to capture the demand. And then don't forget about Boxing Day after Christmas in core non-US markets. Finally, January, this is very important. Everything you did up until this point will impact how you kick off the rest of the year. And this is where you can focus on new year positioning. You if you listen to me, you already have a creative backlog to combat fatigue. This on the right is an example of a partnership Ilya did with a ski wear brand. We launched a collaborative ski suit. Obviously, there's not enough time to do something like that, but, the point is that it's a great moment to lean into seasonality partnerships, to cross-sell those Q4 cohorts that you acquired, to launch Valentine's Day or seasonal bundles, to encourage, repurchase from those people that you acquired, and, there's a great opportunity for this, like, New Year wellness routine positioning, and if you're a subscription business, you can incentivize subscription to drive further repurchase of those customers that you acquired. So TLDR, the framework beats the tactics. Optimize for new customers, avoid for growth killing traps, and have strategic month by month execution with a clear offer strategy for each month to set you up for long term sustainable growth. And the crowd goes wild.
If you haven't seen, like, every fourth comment, maybe fifth in the chat is this being recorded? Are we gonna get the deck? Is the deck coming? Is this g Yes, people, deck is coming. Shreen always over delivers. Recordings are coming as well. So, okay, Wow, I really should think twice about having you go first ever again. That you just cleared the table. If I was either of the two gentlemen that are up next, I'd be shaking in my boots. So, Shireen, round of applause in the chat. Scream out, lock it in one more time for her. Take her down. Let's get that deck out of there. And we're bringing up next into the warm seat because now it's so toasty. Jarrell Blades, Jarrell Justice Blades, I believe is the correct full pronunciation. Good sir, have I got that right? Head of growth at Tushy?
Yes, you got it perfectly, and sure,
King,
that was awesome.
king of growth. I'm going to give you promotion here right on the spot because I've seen you present before. We're going to throw 15 minutes on top of you. Go ahead and let's get Jarrell's slides prepped and ready. Are they up? And let's make sure we can see them before he hits the ground running. I'm filling the air. I have got my fingers crossed right now that that is what's coming up next. Or did you load them? Are they loaded up? Where are the slides? Let's go for, can I just go, boom, I took
There you
care of
go.
it. All right. Good
Perfect.
spare. I'm going to leave. You take it away.
Yeah, first of all, Shireen, that was incredible. I think that, by the way, we didn't see each other's presentations, didn't like plan, but in an interesting way, I think that this will zoom in a little bit deeper on some of the touch points that Shireen had in her presentation. And first of all, thanks for having me, Aaron. Congrats on the new gig, new sheriff in town. And today I'm going to show you how to build and operate your Black Friday, Cyber Monday rocket ship, right? So rules for success and tactics for scale. Okay, first of all, who am I? Why am I doing this? I thought this was important. I did a measurement panel before, but it was really like one of my first panels, in the growth space. I only did it because Aaron asked me to do it, right? When Aaron asks you to do something, you do it, right? If Aaron asked me to run for president next cycle, I would do it. uh, so it was really awesome because I think the response was awesome from the growth community, and I think there's such a desire to learn across the board, learn from marketing leaders, get new tactics and skills. Interestingly, like when I was at a different employer, he used to call me the silent killer. I was not into talking about what I did. I just did it. And yeah, I've got a change of heart now. I think the best thing to come from this year with tariffs and all the crazy stuff that's happened this year is to pay it forward. I've learned from so many great marketing leaders who are literally going to speak today, and I just want to continue to pay it forward on my side. And also, I'm obsessed with growing businesses, right? There's a certain adrenaline involved in it, so this is definitely my favorite time of year. Why listen to me? Aaron picked me. Like, have you seen this lineup for free? Right. So the people on here are smart. So hopefully that means I'm a smart person that Aaron thinks I can share some great stuff for you guys to win this holiday. And then most importantly, when I used to attend a lot of conferences in marketing, on a serious note, like before operators really became a thing, I would be like in charge of brands that were trying to scale from 5 to 10 million at agencies or 10 to 20 or even like 3 to 5 million. And the tactics were amazing and it was super inspiring, like to see like all these crazy exits and brands doing $100 million plus. But sometimes the tactics were just so far out of reach. And I always promised myself, like, if I had a chance to do this, I've worked on really large brands. I think that a lot of those tactics are definitely good to know about, and everyone here will get to that point. I think the more important thing is that everyone here can walk away with something that they can literally go to their teams, hit them up on Slack, do this, and do that at any scale. So that would really be the focus of this presentation, right? I've worked with many, many brands. I think Shireen has worked with 100 plus. I am not there yet, and I'll be honest about that. But I've been very hands-on in building those growth strategies, in ad accounts, bigger strategy, offer design, marketing campaigns, brand campaigns, etc. And then lastly, like we grew 30% year over year with Tushy last year, and I'm literally just gonna tell you exactly everything we did, and hopefully you guys can run that back. Okay, so today's agenda, I'm gonna try not to run out of time because on the measurement panel, if any of you guys saw that, was literally down to the wire. So I'm gonna do 4 parts, right? One is mindset because I think that's important to have like a really good headspace during this period. It's literally crazy times. It gets really hectic, very stressful. I think that you should understand the difference between building the rocket ship, how you're preparing, how you're flying the rocket ship, how you're operating in events. And then the fourth part will be maximizing the season, right? And so Shireen actually touched on a lot of these really interesting tactics for after that high tide season, how you set yourself up for success in 2026. So that being said, rule number one, big text on purpose. Do not build the rocket ship while flying it. If you are here, you're probably not that person, right? So if you're here, there's, what is it, 75, 76, 77? I don't know. Tell me in the chat how many days until Black Friday. But if you're here, you're ready to prepare, right? I feel like a lot of operators and marketers at times will kind of have a loose plan of what they're going to do. But then I've seen like a lot of leaders in brands of various different sizes start to panic. Like, am I doing everything that I should be doing? I heard that this is really working. Should I be doing this? Like, try to gather all the information now, have discipline and understanding what is for your brand and what you can actually implement, and then align your team behind that. And then everything else is just noise, right? You want to go into the game with a good plan and you want to be executing during the high tide moment. All right, mindset. Rule number 2. This is the Super Bowl and you want to be this guy. I'm a Jets fan, so we haven't seen one of these in quite some time. But certainly you want to be stone cold. You want to be, dare I say, locked in, right? Number 3, I would say you want to have a routine. You want to be focused, right? It's really difficult at times to like get into the vicious cycle of like checking Shopify, like every couple of seconds, checking Amazon, checking Meta, like before Meta can even return significant signal for you. And you just get in this cycle of like not letting stuff breathe, getting out of ritual. So I do say it's very important to protect that headspace. Like, you wake up in the morning, have a specific time that you wake up, you get your cup of coffee, you look at your results, you have certain, you have your touch base, like as Shireen mentioned, your stand up, you have certain cadences where you're going to be ready to check in on data and make decisions if necessary. Right. And then number 4 is like, do the things you love. This is the most important part of the season for pretty much everyone here. But like, I have this weird superstition, like as soon as Black Friday, Cyber Monday is done, I go to Miami, somewhere warm, because I'm from New York City, and I continue doing Q5 holiday from there for a couple of days, get to the beach, right? So don't let this moment throw you out of whack and stop you from doing things that will ultimately keep you in the right headspace. Cool. Let's get into the real tactics now, right? So building the rocket ship, how to prepare and what to do in the lead up. Unit economics and measurement, right? If you are not locked in, there I said it again, one more locked in. I would love to have a locked in count in the chat. You are flying in the dark, or worse, you're just gonna fail, right? So forget Black Friday, Cyber Monday. Like every brand here should understand firmly their unit economics, right? And that should be loaded cost structures, right? So you can have your MSRP. You should be projecting some type of refunds and discounts on average, right? You have your cost of delivery, right? Some people will call it sales fulfillment delivery, right? Which will give you your pre-marketing contribution, right? And from there, whatever's left is really like your break even if you're trying to be like first order profitable. And then the CAC that you assign to that should be something to ladder up into the contribution that's necessary to, optimize against your fixed costs of your business, right? That's just like a really like nerdy way of saying is like, you need to find your targets. You need to be able to then align your team on those targets, set targets that make sense for your business during the event, which also leads to you understanding how to measure the channels that you have active, right? So I won't go too much into the measurement. Aaron maybe can link at some point the measurement panel that we did. I thought like there were a bunch of great things, experimentation panel that we did, a bunch of great tactics in there. But you should really be understanding the true incrementality of your channel so that you're optimizing properly against those targets that you're setting. And then more importantly, especially if you have different marketplaces, if you're on Amazon, etc., you should be able to understand the halo effect of these channels. you need to have this infrastructure so that you're militant with your team, so that everyone is aligned on what the goals are, what KPIs matter, what constitutes success, what justifies scale. If there is a moment that anyone on your team fails to answer this question, I think it's a failure of marketing leadership. So just make sure everyone's aligned. Like, you want to be able to go out of office, not during Black Friday, Cyber Monday, but your team should be able to know the things that matter to the marketing team, understand when we should be dialing in on spend, when we should be pulling back, right? So I think that's really important. You also want to track what matters to your business and ignore the rest, which I think is really, really important. Shireen actually had a really great chart in one of her other panels for, I think it was boardroom ready KPIs or something of that nature. I fully suggest you guys check that out. I'm not going to tell you in this specific presentation exactly which KPIs should matter to your business, because ultimately depends on if you need to be first order profitable for some reason, if you're doing lifetime value against your CAC, right? But ultimately, you should be able to figure out like where you have leverage with those CACs and be able to use that to your advantage during seasonal moments like this. The last is offer testing and validation. So Shireen touched on this a little bit as well. I say your offer must be proven and validated. It doesn't mean that it needs to be like your best offer of the season. But your offer structure, your offer design shouldn't be like, you shouldn't be spinning up something net new for the first time, right? You also shouldn't be communicating something that's overly complex that'll put your performance at risk. If the customer is like, what is this? Can't understand the value, like, you've already lost, right? So try to be clear in communication. And under that, the strength of offer and the communication of that offer does matter, because you're trying to capture wallet share. There's going to be so many different deals, so many different offers out there. You need to be able to present something that makes sense, where the customer is understanding the value. You also want to be, consumer obsessed. You want to leverage pop-ups to collect email addresses, but you also, high intent, as Shireen said, but you also want to learn about your customers. If you go to Tishy's website, I think it's like, how many bathrooms you have? Like, why does that matter to us? Because it gives us an insight into the consumer home. It allows us to understand if there are specific offers we can send to those customers. It allows us to understand that when people are coming back, like, are there parts of our promotion that can tend to people who have multiple bathrooms, who are buying for gifting, who have country houses, etc. Right? You want to leverage post-purchase surveys for CRO, right? Stand up a question right now. What on our store is difficult to use? I love that question. You get so much good feedback, and it's your job to fix that ahead of the holiday. I'm going to speed this up a little bit, because I realize I'm actually going to run out of time, and I said that wasn't going to be what I was going to do. But you want to engage customers where it matters. So you can do all the work up funnel, do all the education, but if ultimately it comes down to, what's the best mattress? I'm moving into a new apartment. What's your best mattress? Like, people are going to Reddit for that, right? So you got to be optimizing for your language learning models, of course, with AEO, GEO, but you also want to be in spaces where consumers are making decisions. Post-purchase upsells is pretty much a no-brainer. We love after-sell here at Tushy, so go ahead and set those up. It's literally free money sitting on the table when you're holding the same CAC. Top of funnel, we discussed in the measurement panel. It's so important to build the funnel now, as Shireen mentioned, especially if you're struggling with rolling reach, to activate other objectives in Meta, for example, or to activate YouTube connected linear podcasts. We found that those are most incremental to our business, so far as bringing new users and customers in. Okay, flying the rocket ship really quick. Creative volume matters, but I think about it like horizontal scale. I said we grew 30% year over year, but what I didn't mention originally is that our creative volume actually went up 60% year over year in Meta alone, right? Creative volume in this day and age needs to be differentiated. You don't need A, B, C, D, E, F, G, small little changes. We need net new concepts. We need to be able to use creative as a flashlight to shine to different places in the room, to unlock different personas, to bring net new people into the fold, right? And a good way to do that, to get that scale, is to use different formats, to use, different concepts, but it's also to use whitelisting and partnerships ads. So that's good for social validation, but it almost always has lower CPCs and higher CTRs. These two I'm going to be quick with. Speed to decision, I actually took this from the Skims growth team. So shout out to that team. You can be fast and wrong, or you can be slow and right, and neither is good. So you need to be prepared to know that you're never going to see like the full picture in events. Need to be able to make quick decisions. Hang your hat on, again, things that matter, metrics that matter, where you're seeing enough signal. You're never going to get like all the signal in the world to make the right decision. And you can always Monday night quarterback, as we like to say at Tushy, to say, oh, like I would have done this, right? So that's what I would do from a mentality standpoint. The last is I'm going to just steal this literally from the marketing operators. I think Connor Rowlane actually sent me this sheet last year. All of your metrics should ladder up into contribution margin. Get used to tracking this regularly in your business, especially during Black Friday or Cyber Monday. When you're scaling your budgets, you need to model the different contribution margin scenarios at various levels of spend efficiency. So let me just show you something real quick. This is literally Connor's sheet that he sent me. These are dummy numbers. But essentially, like if you were targeting and you were planning for $6 million in sales at a 6.5x MER, like this would be your contribution, right? But if you were targeting $9 million, right, at a 3, you also can get like similar level of contribution, right? So this is great for planning to see like where you'll land, but it's also good in event because if you have smaller increments of sales, you can actually then to predict, like, project like, okay, if I were to scale my spend and end at a 3 MER, like this is what my contribution margin, right? I can throttle, right? Or like, hey, I'm happy with where I'm at right now. If I spend, I'm actually over salting the dish, right? And then you decide not to, and you keep your contribution margin, right? Okay, cool. Follow my lead here, going back to rocket chips, and then we'll close it up in the last minute. The beginning is your launch with your booster. So to Shireen's point, your existing customers are going to get you that initial lift. At Tushy, we like to think about the ad spend as your second set of rockets. So once your existing customers like get you that lift, you're going into the atmosphere. It's like you actually need your acquisition marketing spend the most, in between. Like so you're gonna get really big pops on the first day. You're gonna get, response from early access for Black Friday, Cyber Monday. But it's not really the best to try to, accelerate spend against people who are going to purchase anyways. You need your ad spend when you need that extra set of jets to get into the atmosphere. And then last one, that's you in the cockpit optimizing by contribution margin by MER. That's your cockpit, right? Okay, cool. Last slide here. Maximize the season. Lower CPMs typically happen after Black Friday, Cyber Monday. I think Shireen did a way better job of like visualizing that. But you want to flow that momentum into 2026. You've got the Christmas crunch. So you obviously, that's the point when it's like, can I order this right now? Is it going to arrive on time? The minute the consumer starts thinking like this, like the conversion's lost, right? That's when you offer free expedited shipping, digital gift cards, Amazon, which I didn't put in here, but that just saw on Shireen's is a great, additional pivot there. You also want to remember self-gifting happens during these moments. Like once you knock out your list, you start personal shopping, holiday bonuses hit for a lot of people. That's time where people are buying stuff for themselves. And then if you do have the ability to tap into the, new ritual self-improvement space with an offer or, strong product alignment, brand alignment, like it's great time for new year, new me. Actually, I think it's perfect timing.
Bringing it home.
Turn that around. Thank you and good luck.
Oh, I will get Connor Mack's sheet out into the world because I love seeing that things like that are genuinely useful and they just pop up organically like this. Listen, I've got it in my back pocket. I'll include it and I'll even do everybody one better. I'm going to try to get all 3 of these keynote decks and that contribution margin calculator with the different ranges into it out like before end of day. I'm just going to try to jam on that so everybody has the resources. So all of our keynoters, toss them over to me as soon as you possibly can. Thank you and good luck. All right, no. Jarrell's gonna go away. Slides, take him away. And if Jarrell was building the rocket ship, we have got a gentleman next up to land the plane, the rocket ship. McCoy, Maverick. How perfect was that setup?
Hello. Perfect. I don't know about that. I question your decision every time I go after Shireen. Man, oh man. And Jarrell crushed it too,
We
obviously.
really got to make her go like end, last, dead drop, that sort of thing. All right, all right. Well, I see we have got crushing the BFCM season on top of us next. I can hear you. That means one thing. I need to shut up and go away and hand it over.
All right. Thank you. The 2 presenters before us, Shireen, wow, Jarrell, amazing. I was also in New York, and so I'm suffering from quite a bit of jet lag. But we're going to power through, and we're going to talk about the Black Friday season. That's what we're all here for. We're all here to talk about Black Friday. We all want to make the most of it. But there's probably a bunch of different brands. There's probably a bunch of different operators in the chat, ranging from maybe this is your first Black Friday, or maybe you're a seasoned pro. Either way, I'm hoping to introduce to you some of the ideas that I've learned from my time running Black Friday sales and maybe reframe some pre existing ideas, or maybe, I don't know, maybe I push you deeper into your trench. Either way, we're going to work our way through it. So, as I mentioned, again, everyone's here trying to make the most of their Black Friday season. There's always almost like a sense of paranoia surrounding the Black Friday, Cyber Monday events. I mean, we're here talking about it in September. I think that we all understand that we need to prepare for these moments early. And hence, here we are, a few months ahead of time trying to make the most of it. If you miss this moment, if you don't make the most of it, it's a long time on the calendar before you get another shot at it. So hopefully I can bring some value here. Hopefully I can make you think about some things in a different way and help you crush your Black Friday Cyber Monday season. First, I want to tell you a little bit about me, who I am, maybe why you should listen to me, or maybe why you shouldn't listen to me. My name is McCoy. I'm the CMO of Portland Leather Goods. I've been working at Portland Leather Goods since 2018, which is a little over 7.5 years. This is going to be my 8th Black Friday season at Portland Leather Goods. However, I'm going to give the same disclaimer that Shireen did, which is my opinions are heavily colored by my experiences. And all of my experience, all of my marketing experience is contained inside Portland Leather Goods. See, prior to Portland Leather Goods, I was a wedding photographer. I knew nothing about marketing at all, except for how to market my own wedding photography services. But during my 7.5 years, I've been really fortunate to be in the driver's seat and building a marketing department and helping to build a company that served over 2 million customers. We have made and produced, because we own our manufacturing facility, 5 million products and put them in the hands of those happy customers and generated over $500 million in sales. So that's who I am. But I want to walk you through a little bit of my experience and how our Black Friday strategy has grown over the years. But before we get to the meat of it, and we try to reframe this really as the Black Friday season, because I don't want you to think about it as a 48-hour window. I want you to think about it much longer than that. We're going to first kind of understand the playing field that we're on. So let's see if I can click the next slide. There we go. This is the market reality. As good as we all may be doing in our individual businesses, e-commerce, if you run a direct-to-consumer company that uses e-commerce as your distribution channel, we are playing at a fundamental disadvantage based on the way this world has historically worked. Now, we're not going to dig into every single one of these charts. In fact, we're just going to kind of skim over this. But we really need to understand that Black Friday, the holiday, the day we call Black Friday, we can put Cyber Monday off on the shelf for a second. That holiday isn't for you if you're a D2C retailer. If you're an e-commerce retailer in totality, this is not a holiday for you. This is a holiday that has been and will continue to be a brick and mortar dominated holiday. Now, that's not all doom and gloom. In fact, last year, online sales grew dramatically more than brick and mortar sales in 2023 and 2024. However, this is still a retail and brick and mortar dominated industry. They're bigger than you. They're more sophisticated than you in a lot of ways. We're small and scrappy, but they got a lot of money to punch around, little guys like you and I, when it comes to the holiday season. And so I don't say any of this to depress you. This is to make you understand the fundamental disadvantages that you are inheriting and that you're playing with when it comes to the Black Friday season. So take a look at these charts, understand where you are. Some of us are punching way above this, right? Maybe you're in a new disruptive category, or you've cracked a product market fit that just no one really has, and you're really taking it to the big guys. But in aggregate, we are much, much smaller than the big guys. By the way, this also includes Amazon when you talk about online sales. All Shopify vendors totaled together, I think Carly mentioned this at Beanstalk. I'll spill one secret. If you aggregate all Shopify vendors together, we're the second largest retailer in the United States. We're not number one, we're the second largest retailer. And even giants like Amazon and Shopify in aggregate still don't compare to the size of brick and mortar businesses. So we can move past this, but again, it's just important that you fundamentally understand this. So I want to show you what I view as an exceptionally poor Black Friday, Cyber Monday strategy. And this is coming from my experience. I personally ran Black Friday and Cyber Monday just like this. I woke up November 1st and I did really nothing. This is in my early years of marketing. I wasn't the CMO at the time. I was sort of in my junior marketing position, but nonetheless, I was mostly in control of the website strategy. And I woke up and I did nothing November 1st, followed by another 26, 27 days of nothing. I woke up on Black Friday and I decided, hey, it's time to run a site-wide sale. Let's give people some discounts. And it went okay. And then I went and had a holiday where I went on the weekend and I just did whatever I wanted. I came back Cyber Monday and I walked into work and I was like, what should I do for Cyber Monday? I got an idea. Let's change the headlines. Let's send another email. Let's run another site wide sale. I have grown to view this as an exceptionally poor strategy. And I'm going to really discourage you from running a strategy that looks like this. This is not only an exceptionally poor strategy to bring revenue into your business, it's an extremely expensive strategy. Having a gigantic bonfire of cash blown out the door on Black Friday and Cyber Monday, once again, is an exceptionally bad idea. Yes, customers are in the buying mood, but this is also when price of advertising is extraordinarily high, the highest you will ever see it throughout the year. I'm going to go to the next slide, and the next slide is going to give you a little bit more flavor about what Black Friday, Cyber Monday season looks like for us. Oh, thanks for advancing there. This is what the Black Friday, Cyber Monday season now looks like for us. As colorful and as full as this chart, this really is just a very brief glimpse into the motion that's happening inside of Portland Leather Goods during Black Friday. Now, Shireen talked a lot about the different types of sales, and Jarrell talked about the offer stacks and varying those. I echo all of those same points. What you're going to see here, most notably, like in the red bar on the top, is our campaigns. Essentially, we have one for 55 days in a row. Now, this is not necessarily always one gigantic, loud, site-wide sale. This is offers and promotions varied to new and returning customers, and we'll get into that in a little bit. Last year, Portland Leather Goods, we set 61 separate SMS campaigns in these 55 days. We set 62 email campaigns, as well as one massive physical mail catalog. The totals from these campaigns were 14.5 million SMS sends, 80 million emails, and more than 300,000 catalogs. We released dozens of new products and hundreds of new SKUs, and we plan to do that again. And I don't say this, and if you're looking at this and you're saying, okay, well, I'm a smaller business, I can't afford to do all this motion, this is too much. I understand. It took us years and years to get to this level. And this strategy is informed by what's worked for us building year over year. But what I want to encourage you is to reframe the idea of Black Friday and Cyber Monday being 48 hours to being a much longer period of time. This is when customers are in the buying mode. It's not exclusive to these 48 hours. And I hope that this just resets your measuring stick and you look to create some sort of calendar that looks like this. If you're a brand who's sitting there hoping to do more revenue in November and December, it is absolutely critically important that you can point to the marketing inputs that justify your expected output. If you can't, if your calendar looks a whole lot more like this, I would take another look at your forecasts and maybe move them down and see how much closer you can get to this. Okay, I hear some feedback, and Shireen brought up some really good points about running too aggressive of sales for too long. Why should we go early? Why should we go longer? Well, if we look at the most sophisticated e-commerce retail on planet Earth, Amazon, they doubled the length of their Prime sale this year. They did that largely in response to a lower consumer behavior and just in general how rough the landscape is out there. It's going to be more competitive and consumers are in a worse place than you might realize. It's notoriously hard to measure consumer sentiment in the moment or on any specific day and use that as like a guiding light for your decisions. But speaking from experience and maybe spilling more beanstalk secrets, we were just in a room with 1,000 executives ranging from massive multi-billion-dollar companies like Unilever all the way down to low eight-figure companies. I didn't meet a single person who said, it's amazing out there and everyone's leaf blowing cash at us. Customers are facing tough economic times. And as we mentioned, the giants, the brick and mortar businesses, they're aggressive, they're ready, and they know this playbook. They're already pulling forward revenue. So getting last in line behind bigger, more sophisticated, more competitive businesses is an exceptionally poor idea. Obviously, protect your brand. Don't go for broke. Don't run corny, cheesy sales 55 days in a row. That's clearly not what I'm advocating here. But understand, whether it's your customer's bank account or their credit card limits, there's a maximum that they can spend in these 55 days. And your competitors likely aren't going to wait. Maybe they will, and you can sit and wait and you can respect each other and then go at the same time. But most likely, this year, among many others, especially with how late Black Friday is in November, I would anticipate sales starting much, much earlier. Nonetheless, we look at the Black Friday, Cyber Monday season in basically 3 major windows. The first of which is the beginning of the month, moving on into right before Thanksgiving or Thanksgiving Day, for example. This is our time to basically pull forward returning customer revenue. Returning customers are more motivated to purchase your products, but they're not extreme loyalists. They're not cult members. If somebody else comes around with a better deal, they can steal them away from you. So again, waiting is maybe not the right strategy. You can also run these sales in a much more crafted and curated way and speak to every individual buyer persona. And that point is also true for your new customers and what this increase of the surface area represents as an opportunity. It's curious to me the people who will break their ad account into 10 different campaigns across 40 different buyer personas. The corn farmer in the Midwest and the surfer boy in California will then turn around and run one site-wide promotion using the same language to everyone on the same day and essentially risk it all. Don't do this. Increase the surface area, if not in public, in private, with crafted offers to your unique cohorts in your returning customer personas. Then move into your new customer season. Oh, I see Aaron. He's going to cut me off. What's up, buddy?
He's right on top of it. My goodness, sir. I'll tell you what, I know we've got to keep moving at a clip. I was going to do like a little wrap of increase the surface area, is how I was going to frame it. I want to actually see, give me another click there, real quick. Smash me through to the end of your slide.
Here we go. Here, let me end with my 5 points. Number one, I just want to let you know Black Friday is not built for e-commerce. The bonfire strategy is an exceptionally bad strategy. It's expensive and it doesn't work. Number three, I want you to reframe Black Friday and Cyber Monday as a 50-day window, not 48 hours. Your calendar needs to be full of motion because inputs drive outcomes. Make sure you can justify your revenue forecast with marketing inputs. I'll leave it there, Aaron. Let you reclaim the time.
I want the other two as a bonus that I can send out, fingers crossed, by end of day along with that slide, because I saw the chat light up with that calendar and the stress and the shame that the people felt when you showed off what you were up to. I think can only be alleviated by giving that to them and helping them do that for themselves. So you're going to send that over to me. I'm going to send that out to the people. Please, round of applause, yell out locked in one more time for McCoy. We're going to take him down, take down the thank you, and we're going to bring on up and move with a clip into our next segment, which is the lightning panelists.